The story kicks off with a flashback to over 100 years ago, showing the attack of the demon king Bozan, who led an army of creatures to invade the realm of the higher powers. This sparked the great war between gods and demons. The god of war, Shuntian, guardian of the West Temple, fought the entire army solo and took down a massive number of them. But just when the tide was turning in favor of the gods, thanks to his epic effort, the god of war was betrayed by the celestial demons. They attacked him from behind, completely ending his life. His spirit shattered into 72 pieces and scattered across the mortal world. This plot twist totally flipped the script, and the demons started dominating the war. The god Shiha had no choice but to use all his power to seal both the gods and demons in the void of the West Temple. But in doing so, the world lost its Buddhist protection. Now, in the present day, the 6 realms are out of balance, and people are suffering. Only the power of the god of war, Shu Tian, can open the seal of the void, save the gods, and restore balance. Back in the present, we see a desert landscape with a small wooden house. Inside, 2 kids, our main characters, freaking out because of some intense tremors. The older one, Yuan Chen, tells the younger one, Xiao Chen, to chill, saying their dad will protect them. As the shaking gets worse, Yuan Chen puts his brother into a basket, slings it on his back like a backpack, and they bolt out of the hut just before a landslide crushes it. Next, we see a man with a staff fighting a demon that's swinging a giant rock on a chain. It looks like a pretty even match, but then the demon slams the man hard against a mountain. Seeing this, the older brother, armed with 2 wooden swords, yells that he's going to help his dad. But just then, the demon appears and tries to strike him. His father reacts in a flash, blocking the creature's attack with his staff. After scolding them for disobeying him by leaving the cave, he uses a swift move with his weapon to gently send his 2 sons flying to safety on top of another mountain. He continues fighting the beast, which lands a powerful blow, forcing the man to his knees. But he's not done yet. He turns his staff into a kind of nunchaku, wraps it around the demon's arm, and after throwing it off balance, hits it with a knee to the face. He tries to choke it with the chains, but the monster's immense strength allows it to break free, sending the man flying. He reacts by kicking the broken pieces of his weapon back like projectiles. With some kind of spell, he surrounds the demon with the pieces and prays for the heavens and the earth to join him in defeating it. Suddenly, a mysterious electric energy shoots out from the broken weapon pieces, trapping the monster's arms and neck. As he closes his fist, the surrounding mountains reshape into fingers of a hand, closing in on the demon and sealing it under a pile of rock. After the battle, the father reunites with his sons, who are totally amazed. He tells them to run because the seal will only hold for a little while. The older brother is confused, so his father explains that this is a demon that hunts demon hunters, and its name is Asura. After getting away, they arrive at a landscape that looks like a gigantic tree with branches forming path. Their dad says they've finally made it. They head down and reach a strange cave that looks like an underground temple. The man releases some kind of seal, opening the celestial gate of the imperial palace. Instantly, roots retract, revealing 2 swords stuck in a monument, which totally surprises the 2 kids who are not expecting this. The father asks Shen to grab one of the swords. When he touches them, both turn a solid gold color and start to glow. He pulls them from the pedestal, and the ground opens up in front of them. A small golden box rises from the opening, and the man grabs it. Shen asks his father what it is, and the man replies that it's something very, very important. He tells him to keep it safe for the future, for when his brother is old enough to receive it, because that object is his little brother's destiny. This makes the boy smile. Then, his father gives him the other sword, explaining they are demon hunter swords passed down through generations. Chen doesn't feel worthy of it, but the man reassures him, saying he's been training him with a sword since he was a kid, hoping he'd become the master of these twin blades. He tells him he trusts he'll be the best demon hunter chosen by the heavens, and must use these 2 swords to fulfill his mission. Just then, they feel a tremor in the distance. The demon has broken free from its seal. The father and his sons start running through a tunnel where mysterious symbols light up as they pass. The man explains they are talismans that block evil demons. They keep running until they reach a bridge over a lake of lava, which turns out to be the tomb of ancient demon hunters. Shen asks his father if the talisman barrier can stop Asura, but he says no, though he reveals it can keep him trapped inside. Hearing this, the boy doesn't quite get what he means, but in that instant, the demon smashes through the ceiling and slams their father into the ground. However, he performs a hand sign, launching strange blades of light that distract it, allowing him to break free. He then casts another spell, causing plates to surround the demon, trapping it in a sphere from which it clearly can't escape, and it falls into the lava. The sons worry about their father, but once the smoke clears, they're relieved to see he's okay. Then, after the sound of a bell, a woman's hand pierces through the man's chest, terrifying his son. The man doesn't understand how she got through the barrier, but she tells him she was inside all along. He just couldn't see her. Badly wounded, he falls to his knees. Seeing his children, he decides to use his last breath to save them, asking Shen to protect his brother. He casts one final spell, which surrounds the boys with a magical barrier of light tablets that looks like it's about to teleport them. But just then, The demon girl says they won't escape and attacks the barrier, managing to pierce it with her hand and scratch the older brother's cheek. She fails to finish them off though, as the spell works. With a smile on his face, their father is happy he could save his sons and entrusts them with the mission of saving the world. But before we continue, I wanted to tell you that because of all the support you give the videos, I'll be doing a giveaway when we hit 2 million subscribers. I'll be giving away $20,000, choosing 20 people who will each win $1,000. I'll select 10 people from YouTube and another 10 from my Instagram followers. So if you want a better chance to win, follow me there. All you have to do is subscribe with notifications on and follow me on Instagram. The link is in the description. My social media will also be in the pinned comment. And most importantly, comment. With that said, let's continue with the video. And good luck to everyone. After that, we get a time skip of several years. We see the brothers are much older now. The older one is chilling on a tree branch, waiting for the younger one to get into a weird lizard man costume. Meanwhile, we see two men, a very old guy who looks super scared and a younger one who looks like a monk, entering a haunted house. The old man tells his companion that he's a demon hunter, and they're there to exorcise a demon. The monk throws some strange powder and sees what looks like lizard demon footprints. He claims it's over 1,000 years old and tells the old man to leave. The guy, terrified, bolts out of the house. We learn the monk is Master Pertuo from the Yinshang Temple. Then we hear a laugh asking him why he's still acting when the audience is gone and that he should save his performance. The monk has no idea what he's talking about, so he recites mantras to summon the wisdom and protection of the Buddhas. His pendant lights up, shoots a blast of energy, and then he strikes the lizard, cutting its head off. Seeing this, the monk freaks out and asks the lizard what happened to their act, saying he doesn't want him to die. The now headless lizard man scares him, making him back up until he bumps into Shen, who knocks him out cold with a single punch. When he wakes up, both brothers are in front of him. He's tied to a pillar, and they show him the lizard costume. The man tries to play it cool, thanking them for saving the town, but the older brother threatens him, holding a sword to his neck. It turns out the monk was pretending to be a demon hunter and teamed up with the lizard demon to scam people for money. He was a con artist, and they became partners to trick the townspeople, getting paid for fake exorcisms and splitting the profits. He then tells them that this business is all about appearances. According to him, with his handsome face, everyone would believe him even if he said he was the reincarnation of Buddha. But with Shen's thug face, nobody would believe him even if he were a real demon hunter. This comment really ticks off our hero, who says if he has a thug face, then he should act like a thug. A little later, we see the monk now wearing the lizard demon's head, and a severed reptile tail is wiggling on the floor. The next morning, the brothers are holding a ceremony to officially make Shen a man, since he's now 14. Using some kind of spell, his older brother throws golden powder on him, and one of the talismans starts circling him to grant him the power to eradicate evil, officially making him a demon hunter. After a short chat where Shen feels unworthy of such a title and power, his brother encourages him. He then gives him what their father left in his care long ago, when he sacrificed himself to protect him from a very evil demon. He asks him to open it to see what their father left. When he does, he sees that inside the box, there's only a small metal rod with some markings on it. A bit later, Chen asks his brother if their father ever explained what this object was, what exactly that iron staff is. He replies that he only remembers their father saying the object was his destiny, but he has no clue what it does or what it's for. Still, they're both happy because it's a gift from their dad. Just then, an old man comes running towards them, begging for help for his village. A sudden fog has appeared, and anyone who enters it vanishes. Rumor has it that it's the work of a cat demon. The old man pleads with them again, holding a bag of coins. When Shen asks his brother if they'll take the job, Yuan Chen says no, explaining it could be another trick to scam them. Besides, they haven't gotten to the main part of his coming-of-age ceremony yet, where he's supposed to get a master to guide him from boy to man. As they try to ignore the old man and move past him, he drops his coin bag and a small bell rolls out. This totally shocks Yuan Chen, who starts having flashbacks to what happened with the demon girl. While the old man is picking up his coins, Yuan Chen grabs his arm and demands to know where he got the bell. So, they end up going to the village, where they see a thick fog. The old man repeats his story, and this time, they agree to help and enter the village. The deeper they go, the less they can see because of the dense fog, until they get separated without realizing it. At that moment, a female voice asks who he's looking for. He replies, asking if she can tell him the origin of the bell, and that if she leaves town, he'll let her live. Suddenly, a flurry of attacks comes flying at our hero, but he dodges them all. The attacker reveals herself, a cat demon girl who tries to hit him several times until she finally manages to scratch his back. This forces him to get serious. He launches a spinning attack that creates a tornado, clearing the fog around him and knocking the girl down. Scared, she begs him not to kill her, claiming she was just hunting birds for food and that all the missing people just got lost. After trying to trick the hero by acting all flirty, he asks if she knows where the bell came from. She says she found it by chance and knows nothing about its origin. So, the guy decides to let the demon go, but she takes advantage of his kindness and attacks him from behind as he turns away. He just smirks though, because he saw her intentions from the start. With a quick slash of his swords, he lands an X-shaped cut, and the demon starts to fade away. She tells him his brother is probably about to finish off Chen, then turns to dust. Meanwhile, we see a cat demon facing off against Shen, who sends him flying with an attack. The demon is clearly disappointed, thinking demon hunters were supposed to be stronger, but this one's just a kid. Hearing this makes the young man furious. He's not a kid. He grabs a stick from the ground and challenges the demon. All the while, his brother is watching from a water tower, considering this fight his final graduation test. The cat demon launches several attacks, but our hero blocks them with his makeshift weapon. The demon tells him it's pointless to fight since his sister has probably already taken care of Yuan Chen, but the young man thinks that's ridiculous. His brother would never lose. He manages to land a couple of hits on the creature, which gets angry and speeds up, landing a few cuts and shattering his stick. Just before he falls, the boy sees the object his father gave him. After grabbing it, it transforms, elongating into a magical staff. He uses it like a spear, and it sends a magical shockwave across the universe, catching the attention of several characters who know the legend of the god of war. We then see the small iron stick has become a golden staff, which has impaled the cat demon. Yuan Chen watches the fight, ready to jump in if his brother needs help, who looks pretty beaten up and tired. At that moment, the cat demon reacts with a bit of fear. Even though the kid is unconscious, he still has a connection to that magic weapon. The demon tries to pull it out of his chest by bulking up his muscles, thinking a cat has 9 lives, so losing one is no big deal. Then he realizes Yuan Chen is right beside him with his swords drawn. Yuan Chen asks where the bell came from. Seeing the demon refuse to answer, he threatens him and starts ringing the bell in the feline's ear. The sound freaks him out, and he reveals that the bell was given to him by the woman who killed their father. She told them that whenever the bell rang, the two of them would appear. Realizing the demon is in a trance from the bell's sound, he tries to get more info, asking who the girl is. But the demon replies that her identity is something demons aren't allowed to know. Yuan Chen then asks where she is and why she's doing this. The demon says his orders were to kill the demon hunter and get the spirit fragment. After that, the bell goes wild, flying around uncontrollably before entering the cat demon's mouth. He starts to swell up until he explodes. Yuan Chen rushes to shield his brother from the blast. We see all of this was being watched on a screen by 2 mysterious characters, a guy and a girl. The girl turns her arm into a cannon and teleports to Earth from what looks like a giant spaceship. When Shen wakes up, his brother congratulates him on the fight. They sit down, relieved, thinking all this time the object was just a useless iron stick. He praises him again, saying it's his first solo fight against a demon and that he's really proud of him. He tells him to pick up his weapon since he earned it. As his little brother goes to get it, Yuan Chen thinks about what the cat demon said about the spirit fragment. He doesn't know what it is, but thinks it might be connected to his father's killer. After the fight, the staff returns to its original small size, but this time it stays golden. Shen says he doesn't know how to make it big again. Just then, they're interrupted by the cannon arm girl and the guy from the screen. The brothers notice the girl is wearing a pig mask. She asks the guy what the chances are of messing up when trying to get the staff. He analyzes the brothers with his screen until he finds the object he's looking for, and they approach. Yuan Chen tries to defend his brother, but he was internally injured from the explosion and is having trouble breathing. So Shen tries to introduce themselves properly, informing them that they are demon hunters hired by the village chief to eliminate the creatures terrorizing the town. The girl quickly cuts him off, demanding he hand over what's in his hands. Seeing their intentions, Yuan Chen tells them if they want the staff, they'll have to get through his twin swords first. He quickly attacks the girl, but she knocks the older brother down with a blow from her cannon and threatens to shoot them if they don't hand over the staff. The brothers say they're not afraid and start arguing with the stranger, but the guy from the screen stops the conflict, telling them he doesn't want to hurt them, and with a spell, he heals Yuan Chen's injuries. After things have calmed down, the older brother asks who they are and why they want to steal his brother's staff. The girl replies that since ancient times, the divine staff has always been theirs, explaining it was the weapon of the god of war, Shu Tian. They recognize the name, as he was the strongest warrior of the gods. The strangers introduce themselves as celestial messengers. The guy is Zhao Lu, and the girl is Shu Xiao Pa. As soon as she takes off her mask, both brothers compliment her, thinking she's really cute. They ask them to tell them more about what's going on. Zhao Lu recounts the story of the fall of the god of war, and the legend that to revive him, they need to find the 72 fragments of his spirit scattered across the world. This will open the seal of the void and free the gods, restoring balance. The key to finding those fragments is the divine staff, because as the divine soul of the god of war, it can sense the traces of his spirit. Yuan Chen thinks this must be related to what the cat demon told him. He figures if they get the fragments, they'll have a chance to find their father's killer. So, he can't let his brother hand over the staff. He tries to find out more about the stranger's plans, asking how they're so sure this is the divine staff. The guy replies that according to the celestial book, the divine staff is one of the weapons forged by the god of creation, gathering the energy of heaven and earth. When it awakens, it emits a powerful energy wave that can travel across the entire universe, which is how they were able to sense its existence. This surprises Yuan Chen, that he was able to awaken it. Shu Xiaopa tells him they're not the only ones who can sense that energy. Demons and other monsters can feel it too. It's not just the gods of the West who are sealed in the Void Realm. The Demon King Bosun and his army are in there too. So, the Demon King's followers won't just sit back and do nothing. After this, Yuan Chen says they still can't trust them because the world is in chaos and people are very dangerous. This starts to annoy the girl. She says whether they believe them or not, they are determined to take the staff. She aims her weapon at them, but her companion stops her. She continues, saying that if they fail to revive the god of war and open the seal of the gods, the whole world will remain in chaos. And if the demons manage to open the seal first and release their army, then it will be the end of everything. This gets Shen's attention. He asks if the world would get better if he gave them the staff. Shu replies that if they find all the fragments and revive the god of war, peace will return to the 6 realms. So, he trusts her word and hands over the staff. The girl's arm transforms back, the cannon disappearing, and she tells him it's a promise. Even though this makes the little brother sad, since it was a gift from their dad that Yuan Chen gave him, Yuan Chen tells him not to worry. He's sure their dad would have supported his decision. Meanwhile, he thinks that giving up the divine staff means losing the trail of their father's killer, but at least it keeps his brother out of more danger. He tells him they should go see the village chief to get their reward, and then he'll throw him a party for his coming of age. Just then, the girl stops them. She's angry, thinking she's been tricked with a fake staff, because when she looks at it, it's just a piece of iron. This confuses the young man. He walks over, touches it, and it turns back into a golden staff. This surprises the girl. She doesn't get why this is happening. Zhao Lao explains that the staff has been sleeping for 100 years, and only someone with a pure heart can awaken it. It seems to have chosen our hero as its new owner. Since there's no other way to make it work, they tell the brothers they're coming with them. Once the staff chooses its owner, no one else can use it unless they, take out the original owner. And that's how their journey with the 2 celestial beings begins. After getting their reward for saving the village, they head towards where the divine staff is guiding them, beyond the mountains on a ship summoned by Zhao Lu. Meanwhile, that night in a cave, we see a bunch of monster eggs and 2 demons, one sitting on a throne and the other beside him like a servant, talking to a girl about a mission. The next day, the 2 brothers are having a feast on the ship, which annoys Shu because of their total lack of manners. They just won't stop eating. Shen tells her if she doesn't eat enough, she'll turn into a skeleton. After teasing the girl a bit more, the ship's AI announces an obstacle ahead and that they should avoid it. After a sharp turn that nearly flips the ship, they avoid hitting a girl lying on the ground in the middle of the desert. The older brother goes out to check and sees a woman on the ground. He rushes to help her. As he gets closer, he sees she's badly injured, with blood on her stomach. He decides to carry her to the ship, but Shu says she won't allow a stranger on board. The hero argues that as a demon hunter, he can't just leave someone injured, and then asks if she's just jealous the girl has a better figure than her. This shuts the girl up for a few seconds. She then asks if he doesn't find it weird that this girl was all alone in the middle of the desert. A small argument breaks out, which ends with them deciding to help the girl. A little later, the woman thanks them for their help. Shen offers to heal her wounds, but she says it's not necessary. She's fine. Hearing this, Shu tells her if she's fine, she should leave. And, as is becoming a habit, she and Yuan Chen start bickering, while Shen offers the woman a glass of water. Zhao Lo asks how she got hurt. The woman explains that the day before, she was passing through and had the bad luck of running into a group of bandits. They tried to get inappropriate with her, so when she tried to escape, they stabbed her in the abdomen. She found a place to hide and waited for them to leave. Now she's scared of running into them again. This makes Yuan Chen furious, and he says he'll go take them out right now. But Shu says if he leaves the ship, he's not getting back on. So he decides to let it go since the girl is safe now. Later, the woman asks where they're headed and if they could take her to the Dark Canyon. The older brother thinks it's a huge coincidence, since they're also heading there to find the fragments. The girl doesn't really get what he means, so Shen explains he's looking for the spiritual fragments of the god of war, though he's not sure what they look like. He tells her the divine staff says one of the fragments is in that canyon. This catches the woman's attention. Shu quickly grabs his hands and tells him to put the staff away, since it has nothing to do with her. For a few seconds, we see the woman smile maliciously. Just then, Zhao Lu comes over and says it's late and they should rest up for the Dark Canyon tomorrow morning. After that, the 2 celestials leave, and the brothers ask the woman her name. Once they're alone and more relaxed, she tells them her name is Chisu. A little later, the 2 brothers are fast asleep, and we see the woman wake up, completely unnoticed. She summons a kind of slimy, wet thread from her ring, which extends until it lands in Shen's hair. He obviously brushes it away, and it falls on his older brother, who reacts with a smile in his sleep, not waking up. This alarms the girl, who thinks he must be having a pretty weird dream. Embarrassed, she blushes, but reacts just in time to pretend to be asleep again when Zhao Lu enters the room. He just had a hot shower, judging by the steam behind him. He admires his physique for a second, then sharpens his senses, realizes everyone is still asleep, and figures out he's in the wrong room. After he leaves, Chisu is shocked, thinking everyone on this ship is a total weirdo. The next morning, the 2 brothers wake up. The older one talks about a dream he had where he fought a demon and met a little fairy who was fighting a dragon. As he excitedly tells the story, Shu yells at him to be quiet. This makes him realize the woman isn't on the ship. He asks where she is, and Zhao Lu says she was gone when he woke up. This really worries our hero. He's afraid she'll run into the bandits again and thinks he should have escorted her himself. Then, Shen realizes his divine staff is gone, which is the last straw for Shu. Next, we see Chisu heading into the forest towards the dark canyon, remembering her mission. Flashing back a bit, we see her in a cave with a group of demons who look a lot like the bandits. At the top of a throne at the end of some stairs sits their leader with his right-hand man. Above them, her sister Ziyang is hanging by her neck, having been kidnapped. One of the demons grabs her face and sniffs her. We're told that word has reached them that the celestial messengers found the divine staff and are coming this way. So, they're counting on her, the best thief in the world, to get the divine staff. Even though her sister begs her not to take the job, she thinks about how for 100 years, many have tried everything to find the God of War's weapon, but all in vain. Just then, the demon corrects her, saying no one could find it because the staff was completely dormant for those 100 years. But now, it's clearly awake, and he knew, because his spirit has been feeling the staff's presence getting closer and closer. He shows a sphere with what looks like several rings orbiting inside it. This surprises the woman, as she realizes it's a spirit fragment of the God of War. The bandit tells her that even though it's just one piece, it has enough power to destroy the entire dark canyon. After a small demonstration of its power, making rocks levitate and the ground shake, both Chisu and the rest of the bandits are stunned by the artifact's immense power. The leader continues, explaining that the divine staff is the most powerful weapon in the universe, and if he gets it along with the power of the God of War's spirit, all demons will obey him. The woman, thinking the power is terrifying, watches as the group leader stops the vibrations caused by the object's power. He tells the girl she's just seen what's in store for her if she ever thinks about disobeying his orders. After this, with an angry look, she asks if he'll let her and her sister go free once she gets the staff. The man laughs and says that for her, it's a piece of cake, and when she gets it, he'll return her sister. At that moment, Ziyang begs her not to listen to them and not to do it because she made an oath to never steal again. Crying helplessly because she's tied up and can't do anything, she explains that if she breaks the oath, she'll suffer eternal pain. This hits Chizu hard, as her sister's worried reaction is very clear. But just then, the chief's right-hand man grabs her face, silencing the thief with threats, telling her that if she decides not to go, her sister will be the one to suffer. This infuriates the woman, who tells him that if he hurts her, she'll drag him down with her, even if she dies in the process. This spooks the bandit a little. Afterwards, the chief repeats that her sister will be safe until she retrieves the divine staff, but if she's late, he can't promise anything. Holding the divine staff to her chest, she looks towards the dark canyon and sighs, sending a message to her sister that she's on her way to rescue her. Meanwhile, we see our heroes arguing. Shu won't stop chewing them out for saving a scammer and losing the staff. After both brothers apologize, saying they didn't know she was a con artist, the girl throws it back in their faces, saying it's no wonder they didn't know, since she completely charmed them because they're both such perverts and shameless clowns. Meanwhile, Zhao Lu calls for calm, but his companion tells him to focus on driving and let her teach the two brothers a lesson. After that, she stops the ship and gets off, saying it smells like a war zone in there, and it's better to get some fresh air. Then, she comments that the scammer and the staff are in this very place, a fact that surprises the rest of the group. Just then, Shen asks where they're going now, and the guy replies they're headed to a place called the Spiderweb Cave. After commenting on the kind of weird name, he explains it's because the parasites inside the cave are as complicated as spiderwebs, and it's super easy to get lost. Once they reach the entrance, Zhao Lu pulls out his tablet and shows a trail from the divine staff. This really hypes up Shen, who gets all pumped up and says he's going to get it back right now. Meanwhile, inside the cave, we see the bandit chief and his right-hand man release Chisu's sister from the ceiling, getting ready for the trade. The woman tosses the staff to the demon, and he pushes Ziyang towards her sister, who cries in her arms. She apologizes, saying she shouldn't have gone to the dark canyon alone, then she wouldn't have been caught and blackmailed into stealing. But her sister comforts her, saying she'd do anything for her, even if it means suffering the curse's pain for life, and that she's not afraid, because she did it to save her from those creeps. After this, she tries to leave, but her path is quickly blocked by the chief's sidekick. Outraged, she asks what this is all about. The demon leader smirks about his promise. She quickly shoves his arm off and shoots the thread from her ring at him, but the man dodges it with a head tilt. It's a useless defense though, as the thread wraps around and catches him by the legs. With a slick move from the girl, he falls to the ground, sending the staff flying. Chisu catches it. Just then, the second-in-command lunges at her. She reacts by holding the staff and yelling for it to extend. This spooks the little demon, but after a few seconds of silence, they're both surprised because the staff did absolutely nothing. So she uses her ring again, shooting that thread-like thing into the man's face, blinding him for a few seconds. In that moment, the girls take their chance and run for it, but Ziyang trips and falls. Even though she tells her sister to run and leave her, Chisu refuses and stays to protect her. Seeing the two demons closing in, she shoots another web from her her ring, but the leader slices it with his sword and tries a powerful slash, which hits the ground because Chisu managed to push her sister out of the way. When Xiang gets up worried about her sister, she's surprised by the leader's sidekick, who's right behind her. She tries to kick him, but it's easily blocked because the move was way too weak. Meanwhile, Chisu and the chief were still fighting. Using her ring's ability again, she manages to trap the demon who's about to attack her sister against a wall. The chief tells her not to get distracted and keeps attacking her repeatedly. She dodges his moves and tries to counter with her web skills, but he casts a spell that moves the rocks and lands a heavy blow to her stomach, knocking her down. This really scares Xiang, who rushes to check on her sister. Chisu tells her she'll hold him off and begs her to escape. But hearing this, the second-in-command breaks free from the threads and summons a diamond barrier around the girls. He tells them this is an ability from the God of War spirit. This surprises Chisu, as she didn't expect him to be a spiritual ability user too. Meanwhile, outside, Zhao Luo reports that although he can track the staff, the cave is so complex he can't figure out the best route to take. So, Yuan Chen quickly suggests they split up, calling his brother to come with him since they were the ones who found the staff in the first place. Shu scolds them, telling them not to get tricked again. Deep inside the cave, the brothers are in danger. Shen thinks all the paths look the same and asks if they're lost, but his brother says no. He knows the way because this passage has a unique scent that only Chisu has. Finally, they reach a more open area inside the cave, where they hear the woman trying to convince the demons she'll give them the staff if they let her go. But the men obviously say no. They want both of them, plus the weapon. We can also see that Chisu's stomach is starting to bleed. Her sister, super worried, pounds on the magical diamond barrier, while the demon leader laughs on the other side, enjoying the show. He tells them they'll have to do whatever they want in exchange for not hurting his precious sister. Both brothers watch the whole situation from their hiding spot. Even though Yuan Chen wants to jump in and help, his brother tells him to wait for the right moment. After this, the demons deactivate the barrier to try and do some very not okay things with the two girls against their will, but Chisu quickly pushes her sister away and shoots a web from her ring, which scratches the demon's face. This makes him furious, so he retaliates by attacking with a rock spell. Before it can hit her, Xiang jumps in the way, taking the hit and falling badly injured in front of her sister. In her arms, she apologizes again and says she's happy to have returned the favor by protecting her, since it was always Chisu who protected her. After that, in an instant, she passes away, leading to a heart-wrenching scream from Chisu. Seeing this, a very angry Yuan Chen leaps at the demons with his two swords, but the leader reacts just in time, summoning a huge greatsword to block the blow. The older brother tells the girl to get to safety, while Shen tries to attack the second demon from behind, fails, and is thrown to the ground. At that moment, a huge explosion surprises everyone. Shu and Zhao Lu enter the cave, blasting a big hole with her arm cannon, which shocks all the demons who didn't expect them to arrive so fast. Without a second thought, she fires a powerful shot at Chisu, but Yuan Chen deflects it, causing a large part of the mountain to explode. The girl asks what he's doing. Yuan Chen says Chisu is innocent, but she's completely blinded by rage, so she aims at him again. It's Yuan Chen who has to grab her cannon to stop her, as she was being really aggressive and upset. The little brother says there's something about the woman they don't know. She thinks he's been brainwashed too, but quickly snaps out of it when she sees the two demons protected by the magic diamond barrier. She analyzes them and sees they're using the power of the God of War. Just then, the chief mocks the group, telling them her cannon's power wasn't enough to defeat them. This makes Shu furious, and she threatens to shoot them again, but Yuan Chen gets in the way. After telling Chisu to grab her sister and go, he calls his brother to help them. The second demon tries to stop them, but our hero threatens to end them if they dare take another step, which obviously stops them in their tracks. Despite this, the demon laughs at their swords, knowing they're old. However, Yuan Chen doesn't back down and says he trusts these demon-slaying blades. The chief's subordinate then thinks that sword looks familiar. At that moment, the leader picks a fight with Yuan Chen for interfering and calls for the rest of his minions, who quickly surround the heroes. However, this doesn't seem to impress Shu, who says they're all really weak. This makes the leader super mad, and he orders all his minions to attack. Without moving a muscle, the girl assigns the task of finishing them all to Zhao Luo. He uses his tablet to create a spell that summons a tornado, which sends a huge number of bandits flying, surprising the chief and his right-hand man. Now, only the two of them are left from their group, and they're amazed by the strength of the two Celestials. Yuan Chen tells his brother to get the two girls out of there. However, the chief has no intention of allowing it, and says that since his territory is closed, they can't just leave like that. He then tries to attack them with a bunch of rock spikes, but Chisu and Shen are saved by being lifted off the ground by the air from the tornado the other guy had summoned earlier. Even though the demon leader launches a powerful attack with his great sword, Yuan Chen blocks it with his sabers. The second demon tries to attack with throwing knives, but they're stopped by Shu's cannon, which shoots out some kind of spikes that hit the bandit chief. Zhao Luo casts an electric spell into the sky, creating a storm through the hole the minions made when they were sent flying by the tornado. To try and stop him, the second demon attempts to create his diamond barrier again, but the girls prevent it by landing a heavy blow that sends him flying. Meanwhile, Zhao Luo finishes casting the spell, which hits the demon dead on. After this, he tells the two brothers that from now on, they'll handle the fight and should help the girls. So, Yuan Chen carries Xiang in his arms, while Shen helps Chisu, who, badly injured, apologizes to the young man for tricking them. The boy tells her not to worry, that it wasn't her fault at all, because she did it all to save her sister who was clearly in huge danger. Suddenly, the demon gets worryingly close to Zhao Lo, who thought he had already won. He tries to strike him, but Zhao Lo quickly dodges the attack and his tablet conjures another spell, this time, flames of fire. But the demon reacts quickly, creating a rock wall and sending the wave of fire right back. Taking advantage of the flames, he tries a surprise attack, but Shu quickly provides backup with her cannon, forcing the demon back. He warns her that she still has time to escape and that it would be the smart thing to do, but the girl takes it all as a joke and says she's going to send him to the sky. After she says that, the demon instantly starts gathering energy, making the rocks float. At that moment, Zhao Lo advises his friend to be careful because even though he's weak, he still has the fragment of the God of War's essence, and even if it's a small piece, they shouldn't underestimate it. Next, the floating rocks are used as projectiles against the Celestials. To try and protect themselves, Zhao Lao creates a wall of water, but it's clearly useless as the force of the rocks pierces through the liquid. So, they're forced to jump back. Then, Shu launches a huge energy wave with her spirit cannon. The chief tries to stop it with a rock, which turns out to be a big mistake for him because the impact with the rock caused the laser to split into several beams. They would have hit him if he hadn't created a rock dome around himself for protection. The demon brags that as long as he has rocks, they'll be unable to touch him, since he can always protect himself no matter how strong their attacks are. But due to a mistake, he ends up in a hole with the water Zhao Lu had created earlier. After he casts another lightning spell, electrocuting the water, Shu ends the fight with a powerful shot that reduces the demon to ashes and makes the piece of the God of War's spirit come out of his body. After grabbing it, they decide to run out of the cave to avoid the collapse and reunite with their friends once they're safe. Once outside, we see the two humans with Chisu and her sister Ziyang. The thief thanks them for all their help. Just then, Yuan Chen says her sister still has vital signs, and if they treat her in time, they might even be able to save her life. But at that very instant, the chief's minion jumps out from some bushes, trying to stab our hero, who is saved by his little brother. The younger brother quickly pounces on the demon, knocking him to the ground, but he quickly gets back up and tries to finish the young man with one of his knives, which is blocked by Yuan Chen, who tells him he's picking the wrong opponent. At that moment, the demon challenges him to see whose blades are faster. After an exchange of blows, our hero is surprised because the demon moves his arms so fast it looks like he has multiple arms, which manage to land a few cuts on his body. Due to the bleeding from his head, his vision starts to get blurry. To help him out, his brother pounces on the demon again and grabs him to give Yuan Chen a chance to land a hit. But the demon starts hitting him, and when his older brother approaches to rescue him, the bandit uses his barrier technique to trap the demon hunter, and then kicks Shen, sending him to the foot of the dome. This makes Yuan Chen angry, and he starts trying to cut through it. Just then, the man notices the hero's peculiar swords and tries a surprise attack. Chisu throws one of her webs, trying to hit the demon, but he manages to dodge them. Seeing that the woman was still too weak to do anything else, he turns his attention back to the older brother, casting a petrification spell on his arms and legs to slowly turn him into a statue. While this is happening, Yuan Chen tells his brother to run with the girls and that he'll catch up later, but the little one refuses to abandon him and starts punching the barrier to the point of making his hands bleed. Seeing this pathetic display, the demon sends the boy flying and mocks him, telling him he should say his last words, because once he's a statue, he won't be able to. Overcome with helplessness, Shen thinks he wants to be a demon hunter capable of protecting everyone and wants to be super strong, but despite that, he's useless and always ends up needing someone to protect him. At that moment, he breaks down crying, but his brother reminds him that even with everything against him, he was able to defeat the cat demon, and that one day, he'll be a great demon hunter. In that instant, the staff hanging from his neck begins to glow with a golden light, awakening its power once more. When the young man grabs it, even the shape of his eyes changes. With a quick and powerful attack, he strikes the barrier, shattering it into 1,000 pieces, but he's also sent flying by the strong impact. Once on the ground, he's kicked by the demon, who steals the staff, but when it comes into contact with the bandit's hands, it returns to its small, iron state. Yuan Chen, worried about his brother, goes to him. Shen is happy he was able to help free him from the barrier, then falls unconscious from exhaustion. The demon still doesn't understand why the staff suddenly got smaller. After trying to shake it a bit and trying various things to make it big again, we see his arm is suddenly sliced off, falling to the ground. Yuan Chen has freed himself from the petrification thanks to his swords. So, the demon tries to use his speed again to get the upper hand, but this time it won't work. As his enemy is a bit faster, he has flashbacks of a mysterious white-haired person who carried the same swords. With a quick X-shaped cut, he brings the bandit to his knees. The man reveals that he's actually a human and that according to the demon hunter code, Yuan Chen can't kill other people. But Yuan Chen replies that his evil deeds make him unworthy. Hearing this, the man laughs and says he looks a lot like the heir of the dual saber demon hunter. He tells him that over 10 years ago, a mysterious man ordered him to capture the dual saber demon hunter. He fought him and obviously lost, but the hunter let him go. After talking with that man, he asked him to never forgive the sword and wishes he knew if that warrior regretted letting him go. With his sword at the man's neck, Yuan Chen asks who this mysterious man is he's talking about, but he only replies that it's destiny. After that, a small bell is heard, and in an instant, the bandit falls dead, another piece of the god of war's spirit leaving his body. That night, back on the ship, the group and Chisu try to heal Xiang. But even as Zhao Lo tries to heal her with a spell, he tells her sister that her injuries have surpassed the healing limits of celestial magic. This hits Yuan Chen hard, and he runs out of the room in tears. At that moment, Chisu deeply regrets breaking her promise, but the guy tells her there's another way to heal her, by sealing her sister's spirit. When they find the god, they can use his legendary power to heal her spirit. To do that, she would first have to leave her current body, and when she's healed, she'll be resurrected in another body. After thinking about it for a while, she finally agrees and asks him to do it. So, Zhao Lu extracts her sister's spirit from the body and seals it inside Chisu's ring. From now on, they'll always be together. A little later, we see Shen feeling down, doubting why the staff chose him. Just then, his brother appears and tells him that even though he's weak, he was able to save him because he has unknown potential. He asks that if he doesn't believe in himself, he should at least believe in his brother, because he believes in little Shen. He explains that they can save Chisu's sister with a spell if they manage to find all the pieces of Shutian's spirit and save the gods. Obviously, they'll be able to save the girl. This motivates the little brother, who runs towards the ship after being called by Shu. Left alone, Yuan Chen thinks about the bandit's words about the former wielder of that dual sword. Inside the ship, we see Shen, Shu, and Zhao Lu using the divine staff to absorb the spirit fragments. After that, they talk about how it's morning and time to continue their journey, but Chisu tells them she'd like to go with them, believing she can be useful. After a welcome to the team, not without Shu reacting grumpily as usual, the woman joins the original group. The next day, we see our heroes arrive in a new city, which seems to be dedicated to factory production and markets. We see that Shen looks pretty sick and can't stop coughing because the city is incredibly hot. We're also told the young man has a high fever. Yuan Chen asks Zhao Lu if he has any spells to cool him down a bit. He reassures him, explaining that the staff absorbed 2 spirit fragments at once, which puts a certain strain on the owner's spirit. Since the boy is mortal, he needs some time to adapt. So, when they get to the Earth God's shop, they'll get some special medicine, and he'll be totally fine. After this, Chisu comes out of the ship in a somewhat revealing outfit because of the heat. Seeing her attractive figure, Shu gets jealous and super mad, asking if she has no shame dressing like that. The woman replies that she just took off her jacket. After walking a bit more through the streets, she notices Shu is still really angry, so she recommends she take off her jacket too, because it's probably just the heat. Finally, they reach their destination, the Gila shop. Yuan Chen is surprised and a bit weirded out because it looks more like a clothing store than an Earth God's shop. He doubts they'll actually have medicine for his brother, so they decide to go in and check. Shu yells to get the shopkeeper's attention, who turns out to be a pretty strange old man. He finally realizes they're celestials. When the man notices Chisu, he tries to sell her a bikini that would be perfect for her hot figure, but he's quickly interrupted by a punch to the face from Shu. He explains why his shop's inventory changed. It has to do with the chaos that started when the demons won the war. Fewer and fewer celestial customers visited his shop, so he had to sell mortal products to survive all this time. After interacting with a small figurine on the table, the room transforms, looking more like what our hero was expecting. Without wasting a second, Shu asks for some celestial bean. The moment the old man gives them to her, she shoves them into Shen's mouth, easing his pain. These beans have the power to relieve magic overload and also have healing and rejuvenating effects. This really impresses Yuan Chen. Not knowing how expensive a medicine like that would be for him, he asks for a whole bag. The old man asks for 2 celestial coins. Not knowing the exchange rate, Yuan Chen asks, and gets the answer, 2 billion human coins. Since it's such a massive amount, our hero thinks it's impossible to pay, until Zhao Lu, without a second's hesitation, says he'll pay for it no problem and makes a money transfer with his tablet. After that weird transaction, Shu asks the old man why, after being closed for so many years, the industrial furnace of the Fire City was active again. The old man begins to tell a story. 100 years ago, a huge fiery meteor fell from the sky and landed in the closed industrial furnace. Since then, the climate started changing in a very strange way, making every day for the past 100 years feel like summer. That huge meteor burned for 300 days before cooling down, becoming the new industrial furnace of the Fire City. He explains that the furnace can't be shut down because the city's energy still depends on it, but now it's controlled by a demonic force called the Great Flame, and its boss, Hosi Jun, is the true ruler of the Fire City. Hearing this, Shu gets angry. She doesn't understand how he, a celestial, can obey a demon. He explains that Ho is a high-ranking demon who can control flames, and no one dares to challenge him. After thinking a bit about this demon's profile, Zhao Lo asks Shen if he's feeling better and tells him to take out the divine staff and spin it. The brother follows orders, and as he starts spinning it, the staff begins to send out waves that make the meteor react. They realize a fragment of the God of War's spirit is where the meteor fell, so maybe they're using that fragment to power up the demon. Yuan Chen starts to wonder if that mysterious person they were told about could be here, but the silence is broken when Shen drops the staff because the necklace broke. After this, they decide to go for the fragment, warning the brothers that this time they'll be facing a very high-ranking demon with some seriously strong magic power, nothing like the human demons they fought before. But our hero doesn't back down for a second and decides to go head-on. After telling Chisu to take care of his brother, he leaves, although the little one isn't too happy about it and would rather go too. Meanwhile, inside one of the facilities, we see what appears to be the organization's boss's secretary. She informs him that the core is still safe. After receiving this info, the man says the show is about to begin. Yuan Chen, Zhao Lo, and Shu arrive at the gate of the Great Flames guard post. According to the blueprints, what they're looking for is at the top of the building. Apparently, there's a considerable number of people up there. In reality, there are small demons on every floor, so it'll take them a while to get there. After checking out the situation, Zhao Lu reports that if they want to avoid a fight and save energy, there's only one way. But just before he can say it, Yuan Chen bursts into the guard post, smashing through a wall with his sword, leaving his friends in disbelief. In just a few seconds, he takes on the whole hallway of armed guards. While they were busy at the guard post, Chisu takes care of Shen, who still has a very high fever and even seems to be having nightmares. She tries to lower his temperature with a cloth soaked in cold water. This reminds me a lot of my mom because she does the same thing when I have a fever. So, remember to leave a like and subscribe if your mom has ever done the same. Anyway, back to the anime. In that moment, we see the young man's dream, where the two fragments they absorbed transform into two spirits that merge, forming a yin-yang. We see the legend of the God of War playing out, him fighting the demons and being betrayed. After this, still in his dream, he seems to gain consciousness about the spirit fragments, but at the same time, he feels the presence of their two former wielders who look down on him and call him useless. They tempt him to use the power of the God of War's spirit to replace who he is with someone stronger by sacrificing his soul. After thinking about it, he realizes that he could indeed be stronger. However, he doesn't want power to be stronger than others, but to protect those he cares about. So, if the condition for having such power is to lose his soul and become an evil being, then he doesn't need that power. After saying these words, the divine staff reacts. They have just passed the test of temptation, and now his heart will be strengthened, and their spirits will be more united. After this, our hero wakes up and realizes the attractive woman is on top of him, which makes him a little nervous, causing the staff to fall out of his pocket. Before he can grab it, Chisu picks it up, noticing that the staff changes color if someone else touches it. She asks to borrow it for a moment. Then, she goes to talk to the celestial old man under Yuan Chen's watchful eye, who doesn't understand what's happening. The girl comes back and returns the staff, this time with a new necklace made from her family's silver spider thread, which is a super strong thread. So, from now on, he won't have to worry about it breaking. This makes Shen very happy. While all this is happening, the two Celestials and his brother were still crushing the guards at the Great Flame's lair, leaving piles of defeated men until they reached a large hall with English-style decor and paintings of a very, very beautiful woman. Just then, the boss appears on the stairs, agreeing with the hero that the woman is the most beautiful of all. He's glad that all the actors have arrived. This mysterious man puts Yuan Chen on alert, who asks if he's Hao. Seeing the human demon hunter in front of him, Hao feels great contempt, saying he is not an actor in this play. Our hero lunges at him, but a fire attack forces him back to avoid getting burned. Then, he tells them he's been waiting 100 years to receive the two Celestials, as the audience for his play of revenge has been waiting for a long time. This confuses the other side a bit, as they don't understand what audience he's talking about since they're all alone in the room. Step by step, the man descends the stairs, surrounded by an intense fiery aura as he kicks off the main performance, titled The Burning Inferno. He then tells them he knows they're looking for the divine spirit fragment inside him and challenges them to take it with their own hands if they really want it, as he gets ready to fight. Hearing this, Yuan Chen drops the pleasantries and, without a second thought, lunges at the man to attack. However, the demon creates a fire barrier that blocks the boy's attack. After showing he doesn't have a single scratch, he praises the young man's bravery for daring to attack him like that. This makes Shu react, freaking out over her friend's ridiculous confidence. He ends up taking a direct hit from one of the man's attacks, but he withstands it thanks to his two swords. This really surprises the demon, who decides to attack with much more force. this time actually hitting and overwhelming the young man, who is defeated. But Zhao Luo quickly uses an ice spell to lower his friend's body temperature and prevent severe burns. He then warns the demon that the fire meteor hasn't completely cooled down and that the fire in his body could activate its energy at any moment, bringing an unpredictable disaster to the Fire City. He asks him to please give up the spirit fragment so he can completely cool the meteor, but the gentleman replies that he just needs a little blood from him and his friend, the immortals. This makes Zhao Lu react, realizing the man's intention is to cast the forbidden fire meteor technique. After the demon confirms this is correct, the young man asks where he plans to launch it. He replies that, as he said, it's a play of revenge, and he intends to launch it at the celestial palace of the immortals in space. Hearing this crazy plan, Shu thinks he's totally nuts and decides to attack without mercy, firing her huge cannon at him. But unfortunately, it's completely useless, as the demon protects himself with a force field and then counterattacks the girl. Even though she blocks, she ends up being chased by a kind of fire whip that grabs her weapon, overheating it until it's useless. But before it explodes, she yells at Zhao Lu to cool it down. He does as she says and tries to put out the fire with a water spell, but it evaporates instantly upon contact with the whip. The man says that nothing can extinguish the flames of his revenge and ends up ripping the cannon from her arm, burning Shu, who winces in pain. After this, with a mocking tone, the man says it's a shame, as he thought she'd at least make him bleed a little. Hearing these words, a deep sense of helplessness washes over the girl. She's interrupted by Yuan Chen, who says he'll stop him himself. Even though he doesn't know what the forbidden fire meteor technique is, the man had said earlier that it needs the blood of immortals to activate. So he can't let them sacrifice themselves and let the demon achieve his goal. He'll be the one to fight. Without waiting a second, the man throws a fireball at the girl, which is stopped by the hero's swords, as those blades have the ability to resist his flames. After this, he tells them to leave and talk to the old man at the shop to come up with a better plan. After hearing her friend's words, Shu is at first filled with a sense of helplessness at having to abandon him, but she finally obeys. Both she and Zhao Lu flee the lair. Meanwhile, the city's inhabitants start to notice strange tremors and see that the industrial furnace is starting to spew fire from the top. They're obviously terrified it's going to explode. We see Chisu, Shen, and the old man watching as the city's furnace is reactivated by the demon's fire. They think the Celestials just made the terrible creature even angrier. This really worries the little one, who's scared something bad will happen to his older brother. Meanwhile, inside the guard post, Yuan Chen is still fighting the man, who keeps throwing fire spells at him. As a plan to distract him and get an attack in, he throws one of his sabers, which the demon dodges with ease. But from behind, the young man manages to land a cut, splitting him in two and turning him to ash. He's then immediately caught by the feet by the fire whip and slammed into the ground. The demon had created a copy of himself, tricking the boy. The man scolds him, saying he didn't have to sacrifice his life to protect those cowardly Celestials who showed no remorse when they abandoned him. With a smile on his face, Yuan Chen tells him he's not sacrificing his life for anyone. He just wanted to try his roasted meat and that he'll cut him into pieces to savor it. After a couple of attempts to hit him, all of which are dodged by the man, he takes a quick step forward and lands a powerful punch to the hero's stomach, sending him flying and crashing into one of the walls, shattering it to pieces and falling weakly to the ground. The demon tells him it's absurd that he thought for even a moment he could resist his flames despite carrying those sabers. But he's surprised that a human like him has lasted so long, which is quite enviable. That's why he deserves a worthy funeral in flame. After this, he launches a powerful fire attack at him, but he's rescued just in time by Zhao Lu, who creates an ice wall that stops the flames. However, due to their high temperature, the wall starts to melt, so Zhao Lu tells his partner to get Yuan Chen out of there. At that moment, a small wound opens up on his body, and he starts to bleed, but he ignores it because he wants to rescue his friends. After that, they disappear from the place amidst the dust and steam. Once in the now completely empty room, the demon notices a couple of drops of blood on the floor. So, with an evil smile, he decides to begin his plan. He tells us it's an oath he made to the woman in the painting. After drawing some symbols on the floor, a magic pentagram is created, and the furnace starts working, activating the fire meteor, which automatically begins to float. This is seen by our heroes from the city, who are terrified that the forbidden technique has been activated. Accompanying the meteor in the air is the demon, who, with open arms, laughs deeply at everyone. Seeing this, Shu says they have to stop him, but her partner reminds her that her 9-pronged cannon is overheated and can't be used. Besides, they, the immortals, can only use 50% of their power in the mortal world, so they can't face him. But she replies that if they don't stop him, the Celestial Palace will be in danger. But then Zhao Lu realizes the Celestial Palace will be fine. He's figured out that he's using the forbidden technique in reverse. Even though he's trying to push it there, so much time has passed since the meteor fell that its structure has changed a lot, making the rock unsuitable for activating the forbidden technique. Even if he manages to launch it successfully, it's likely to disintegrate from overheating before reaching the Celestial Palace. So, the most likely outcome is that the meteor will end up falling back on the city, and that's exactly what happens, surprisingly facing the demon, who doesn't understand why this is happening right now. So, Zhao Luo and Shu decide to go consult the old man at the shop for a solution. This infuriates the fireman, who promises he will exterminate all immortals. Meanwhile, in the city, there's a rain of burning rocks. Shen and Chisu watch the situation, terrified, but the woman reassures the young man, telling him they'll be fine. Just as she finishes the sentence, a piece of the meteor lands right next to them, missing them by a hair. The old man tells them that if they don't want to die, they can't just stand there. They have to go somewhere safe. Even in the shelter, the tremors continue to scare people, and Chisu says the place won't hold for long. Meanwhile, Zhaolu thinks about how the demon could control it for 100 years, and how the meteor's energy is completely unstable. The old man tells him that the only treasure in the mortal world capable of withstanding a catastrophic level fire spell is the coolant core of the Fire City's industrial furnace. So, he quickly demands to know where it is. However, despite being an Earth sage who should recognize all the magical and divine objects in his area, he can't find the core's presence. There's a barrier that the demons have clearly placed in the subsoil of the Great Flames Fortress, so he thinks of a way to access the fortress's subsoil to get the coolant. However, he thinks it would be much worse to alert the demon again, as the fortress is heavily guarded. So, the old man suggests going in stealthily and stealing it without being seen. At that moment, all eyes turn to the thief, who is clearly Chisu. She feels pretty bad about having to do something like that because of her oath, but Yuan Chen explains the situation. The woman swore never to steal again, and because she broke her oath, she lost her younger sister. So, he can't let the woman suffer any more misfortune. The old man tells him not to worry, that the oath of destiny can only be fulfilled once, so Chisu will be totally fine. Besides, the coolant core is a treasure of the immortals, so taking it back can't be considered stealing. After this, he says that if anything bad happens to the woman, he himself will suffer that pain 10 times over. We see that losing her sister is already the woman's greatest pain, so to help her friends, she decides to do it. She infiltrates through the lair's ventilation ducts, dodging the guards. She uses her ring to open a small hatch in the vent, taking out 2 guards who were watching the demon's secretary on the cameras. So, she decides to go to her and, with a quick move, pins her against the wall to get information on where the coolant core is. The woman, scared, tells her it's in the basement treasury, but she can't get in without an access card. She says the card is in the bag on the table. Taking advantage of the moment Chisu turns her head, the secretary starts to fight back using various martial arts techniques. The 2 women begin to fight, displaying great skill and flexibility during the combat, dodging all of each other's blows. Chisu manages to win by tying the woman to the wall, immobilizing her. She checks the bag the woman mentioned, but finds no card, so she threatens her to get it. But the secretary says that even if she kills her, she'll never tell. Chisu says she'll do something much worse than death using her threads. Back in the shelter, we see it's holding up less and less, and the tremors are starting to cause debris to fall. Our heroes try to calm people down, saying everything will be fine. They're interrupted by the demon, who continues to destroy the city by throwing fireballs. They realize the man has gone completely wild, and if they don't stop him, the place will collapse even faster. So Shu says she'll face him, even though Yuan Chen tries to hold her back so nothing happens to her. Zhao Luo says he's already trying to stop the demon to buy Chisu time, and he'll go help her too. So, he and the old Earth Sage must stay there and take care of the kid. The little girl asks the younger brother why his other 2 friends are leaving, and he explains they're going to fight the bad guys to help them. The little girl thinks they're very brave and is clearly happy, but then gets sad again, wondering who will protect them. Meanwhile, back with Chisu, she has managed to get the code information using some methods for a more mature audience to avoid saying the name. She tells her that even though her mouth is a big liar, her body is really honest. Finally, she reaches a large, dark room that's a bit cold due to the coolant core's properties. After checking out the room's mysterious appearance, she decides to move towards the divine machine in front of her. After a couple of steps, she triggers a motion sensor that turns on the security system, setting off a loud alarm throughout the room and activating a large protective robot that drops from the ceiling. The woman reacts quickly and manages to dodge it so she doesn't get crushed, thinking that, yeah, this wasn't going to be that easy. Meanwhile, in the city, we see people fleeing in terror from the flames raining down. We see people rescuing the injured and running scared through the streets, trying to find a safe place from the burning rocks. With a firm step and a serious look, we see the demon searching for the Celestials hiding in the city before flashing back to a memory. We see the red-haired woman from the paintings on a train in that same city. She spots a thief stealing another passenger's wallet, so she decides to stop him. Caught by the girl, the thief tries to attack her with a knife, but she dodges it and immobilizes him. After this, he asks the girl if she's okay, and she replies yes, blushing quite a bit. This is the first meeting of what would become a cute couple in the future. We see them spending a lot of time together, walking on the beach at sunset, going on picnics, and living together. After this, we witness a wedding where they finally tie the knot. Sometime later, the man sees a news report on TV stating that the Demon King has unleashed his army to invade the realm. After 1,000 years, the peace is totally over. It also reports that in the Celestial Realm, the immortals are fighting on the front lines, and that all the gods are uniting to defeat the Demon King. The red-haired woman looks scared out the window as she listens to the TV, and the man hugs her to comfort her, as she's afraid the war will affect the Fire City. He replies that the city is neutral, meaning it won't be a battlefield, as the Fire Demon clan and the Deity clan have a peace agreement. The Celestial Realm will protect them during the war. Sometime later, a meteor shower hits the city, causing a lot of destruction. The alarm sounds, alerting all citizens who run for shelter. We see the man quickly leaving work while talking on the phone with his wife, worried that she's alone and in danger. He tells her to leave the house and wait for him at the shelter. Another gigantic meteor flies over the buildings, heading towards where he lives, causing a huge explosion that tragically takes his wife's life. Back in the present, we see the demon being attacked by Shu and Zhao Lo. After blocking the attack with his arm, he counterattacks by throwing fireballs at them, but the guy stops them with a spell, creating steam in the area. Shu keeps shooting at the man while he deflects the energy projectiles they launch at him. The demon clearly gets angry, calling them false deities. Shu doesn't really understand what the demon is talking about. He continues, saying he will return the pain the gods caused him in the past 100 times over, charging and launching a powerful stream of fire. Zhao Lo summons a frost barrier that barely stops the attack. Right after, the barrier shatters. Then, from the sky, Shen's golden staff falls, creating a protective dome around his friends. The two are surprised by the young man's arrival, and the man is pleased to see a very powerful human in front of him. After this, the boy asks him to stop, as there are innocent people in the city suffering because of him, and asks him to stop fighting. At that moment, the demon reacts, realizing he's making innocent people and families suffer. Shen reminds him that if he continues, the city will be completely destroyed and turned into ruins like 100 years ago. He then asks him why he's acting this way. The demon replies that the city held his most precious and beautiful memories until he lost what he loved most because of the gods. Flashing back to a memory, we see the man, badly injured, searching for his wife among the rubble. He finally finds her under a pile of rock. Despite his efforts to dig her out, it's clearly useless. Suddenly, a red orb of energy appears and surrounds the man, turning his late wife's body into energy. Only the ring she wore remains. Since then, he believed the purpose of the Fire City was to get revenge on the Deity clan. Back in the present, he unleashes his power, sprouting wings of fire and surrounding himself with a circle of flames. The demon asks Shen if he thinks he was the one who threw the fire meteor at the city and tells him to ask his hypocritical immortal friends what really happened. Yuan Shen turns to Shu and Zhao Lo and asks for an explanation. The guy tells him that 100 years ago, the Demon King tried to destroy the immortal palace with the fire meteor. To protect the palace, they created a protective field with the power of the higher forces that changed the meteor's force and trajectory, making it fall into the lower realm, the mortal world. That's how it fell on the Fire City. This shocks Yuan Shen, who looks at his staff while the man tells him the gods are total hypocrites. They try to make the world believe they want to save and protect people, but then they have no problem sacrificing them to save themselves, seeing humans as gnats that can be swatted at any time. This makes Shu and Zhao Lu feel really bad. The demon raises his hand, preparing an attack to launch at them, asking what would happen if he killed him right there. Shen doesn't move until the man throws a fireball at the girl. That's when he reacts, using his staff's power to create a golden barrier to protect himself and, obviously, her. The man tells him he's on the wrong team, but our hero replies that if the city falls into disaster again because of revenge, he's no different from the hypocrites he wants to destroy. Even if his power is enough to kill all the deities, he can't reverse the past, and the hate in his heart will only bring more tragedy to the city. He says he could use his power to save the city and the people who live there. These words hit the demon deep, but his impulse for revenge makes him transform into a huge, wolf-like beast standing on its hind legs. He says he swore to kill all the deity clans for sacrificing his wife's soul. After this, he lands a powerful punch on Shen, who, despite blocking it with his staff, is sent flying through the air by the force of the blow, crashing into a building. Meanwhile, we're back with Chisu, who seems to have defeated the Guardian robot without much trouble. She heads for the artifact and tries to grab it with her threads, but they freeze on contact with the coolant, and something clearly activates as a wave of energy shoots out from the device. Back in the city, we see Shen survive the hit by using his staff to brace himself against the building and his protective shield to block the impact. However, he drops to his knees from exhaustion before the now beast-like demon explains that using a fragment of the God of War's soul consumes a ton of energy. He tells him to give up, but our hero ignores him. Propping himself up with his staff, we see him struggle to his feet. This obviously infuriates the creature, which launches a huge fireball from its mouth. However, it stops when it feels an energy wave from the coolant core. Shen and his friends are relieved, as this means Chisu has completed her part of the mission. This makes the demon furious, and this time he really does launch a gigantic fireball from his mouth, causing a massive explosion. He quickly disappears into the smoke to stop Chisu. We see our heroes are okay too, having used Yuan Shen's main character protective dome to block the hit. Shu says she has to stop him before he hurts Chisu, but she falls to her knees in pain, clutching one of her arms. Yuanshin says he'll go, but the girl asks if he wants to die. He replies that he doesn't care if he dies, as long as it guarantees everyone else's safety. Hearing his words, Zhao Lu says he'll help him and, with a teleportation spell, zaps him away. This annoys Shu a bit, She thinks it's crazy, but Zhao Luo tells her not to worry, because if it weren't for him, they'd all be ashes by now. Besides, Shen was chosen by the staff. Back in the core chamber, Chisu sees one of the walls get completely smashed by a man in bull-shaped armor. She hides so he doesn't see her and watches from her hiding spot as the demon approaches the core and manages to grab it with his bare hand. The demon comments out loud that luckily he used the cold armor like his sister told him, otherwise his hands would have frozen long ago. Then the beast transformed demon appears, telling him to drop the stone. The first demon is glad he showed up since it saves him the trouble of looking for him. Hearing this, he charges his fists with fire energy and lunges at him, but the mysterious man dodges by jumping. A strength battle begins between them that shakes the whole room, causing rocks to fall from the ceiling and scaring Chisu, who is almost crushed by one. However, she stays hidden. The two demons continue to test their strength until the first demon reveals what he really came for, the God of War fragment inside the beast demon. He transforms into a huge white-furred minotaur and sends the wolf flying, slamming him against the ceiling. Before he can hit the ground, he gets close to the beast again and shoves his hand through its chest, reverting the fire demon's transformation and pulling the God of War fragment from inside him. He then puts the fragment in a small box with the coolant core, before noticing in the distance that the great meteor is about to crash into the city. As his guard is down, Yuan Chen appears, breaking the box he was holding. His staff extends upon contact with the god's fragment, and we see it absorb it, granting him much more power. The demon realizes that by grabbing the staff, it's slowly draining his life force, and he can't let go. He reacts by summoning an axe out of nowhere just before attacking our hero. Yuan Chen is saved by Chisu, who tackles him to avoid the blow. After seeing this, the demon realizes that even though the boy isn't holding the staff, he still can't let go. He decides to cut off his own arm to avoid being consumed by the weapon. After pulling out a small, coin-shaped artifact, he says he'll come for the coolant core next time, then teleports and vanishes from the area. After that, everything starts shaking again because the meteor is about to hit the city. Seeing the terrified people, Yuan Chen asks the woman what they should do. The fire demon, barely alive, replies that they must break the coolant core to stop the meteor. Yuan Chen follows his advice, and, with a powerful strike from the staff, literally shatters it. This unleashes a potent wave of ice that freezes everything in its path and cools the meteor to the point that it breaks apart in the air before hitting the ground, turning into snow. After this, we see the man holding his wife's ring, lamenting that he couldn't fulfill his promise to avenge her just before he passes away. His wife's spirit appears before him like a vision and tells him that at least he was able to help save their city, giving him a huge hug. Due to exhaustion, Yuan Chen faints and Chisu takes care of him. The next day, with the problem in the fire city all sorted out, the group heads into the desert in search of a magical river called the Shasha River, which can heal wounds. Yuan Chen, worried about his brother, tells him to lie down and rest a bit, since he hasn't recovered from his fight yet. But Shen tries to act tough, saying something like that is nothing to him. He then thumps his chest and realizes he's actually more hurt than he thought, as it starts to ache. Chisu, knowing how stubborn Yuan Chen was, flirts with him, saying she likes strong, determined men, but it would be a shame if he didn't rest properly, as he might die before succeeding. This quickly convinces the young man, who lies down with his head on her lap to rest. And even though this makes the rest of the group a bit awkward, Chisu gives Shen a mission accomplished gesture, who is glad his brother can at least get some rest. After this, his attention turns to Zhao Lu, as he notices he's been very serious. He thanks him for saving his brother in the fire city. Still serious, he replies that it's nothing, and gets up from his seat to inform them they'll soon arrive at the next town. With the village in sight, they realize it looks like it's been abandoned for a while. Our hero wonders if this is also because of the war between the gods and demons, but Zhao Luo says no. They're quickly interrupted by the ship's alarm indicating a power failure, and the vehicle stops in the middle of the town. Zhao Luo takes responsibility for the repairs and heads off. Just then, Yuan Chen confesses to Shu that his friend has been acting really weird the whole trip, but she tells him it's just his imagination. Shen then says he was thinking the same thing as his brother, as Zhao Lu seems pretty worried. She tells them that the sands produce several valuable minerals, and that this city used to be a bustling commercial area. Back then, Zhao Lu's army was stationed in the mine area, so if they weren't taking her to the magic river, they wouldn't have come back here. After telling them that, she turns around and realizes the two brothers and Chisu are listening to her while eating watermelon. After this, she says she won't say anything more about anyone. Then she realizes the three of them are whispering about what might be on the Celestial's mind. This makes Shu really mad, as she thinks they're a bunch of gossips. Just then, Yuan Chen tells the girl he thought immortals didn't like the human world, but it seems Zhao Lu is also a man of character, so the brothers should support him. But Shu tells him not to be such a show-off. After this, Yuan Chen says he'll talk to the guy to get him to open up about his feeling, and even though the young woman isn't too keen on the idea, she's convinced by Chisu that men understand each other. After the woman offers her a piece of watermelon, Shu feels embarrassed by her teammates. After this, the older brother goes out to ask the guy if he needs help, but he says no, seeming to ignore him a little. Wenchen tells him he doesn't have to carry everything that happened on his own, and that if he needs anything, he just has to ask, since they're brothers who share the good and the bad. After this, Zhao Lu tells him there is one little bad thing. The ship's power crystal is broken, which is why the vehicle can't move. Fortunately, he also tells him there's an abandoned mine nearby, so the crystal mine inside should be a good replacement. He just has to go get it, and they can restart the ship. So, the older brother suggests they go right away, but Zhao Lu reminds him he hasn't recovered yet, and that the situation in the mine is a bit complicated, so he can go alone. But our hero, obviously, insists. After this, Zhao Lu coldly pushes his hand off his shoulder, telling him to mind his own business and not to bother him. This surprises both brothers, because that's not how the guy usually acts at all. From inside the ship, his partner watches him walk away. Then we see a flashback to the past, where he and his squad were tracking some demons involved in a local problem. Since there wasn't much info, they had to be careful and ready for anything. We see the group consists of Zhao Lu and 4 others. A young guy named Afu, a muscular bald man named Black, a dark-skinned girl with short white hair named Lily, and a guy with black hair named Yao. Yao scolds the others because they wanted to go straight in and fight the demons, even though the mission orders specified they should avoid conflict. Hearing this, Afu suggests they just leave. However, Zhao Lu tells him their mission is to find out what's happening in that place, and they won't know until they go down, so they need to be ready to fight if necessary. After that, they all go down. In the present, Zhao Lu follows the same path he took in the past. Once deep inside, the squad was swarmed by some kind of zombies. Even when they shot them with their guns, they wouldn't die, so they decide to run and push forward. Afu almost gets infected after tripping and falling, but Black and Yao help him, and they manage to get away. Lily throws some explosives to get rid of the monsters, but a zombie sneaks through the smoke and ends up biting Black. He says it's nothing, and with his teammates' help, they retreat to a safe room, not noticing that the man's spilled blood activated some kind of spell. Yao reports that all the miners have been turned, which freaks Afu out since they were trapped there with those creatures. But Zhao Lu calms him down, telling him there are some phones and they might be able to contact Army HQ through them. So the kid disconnects one of the cables and hooks it up to a communicator, revealing he was the group's hacker. Using some codes, he manages to contact HQ via radio and tells them reinforcements are on the way, which makes Lily happy. A while later, Yao, who was keeping watch at the door, notices that everything is mysteriously quiet. Afu thinks it's because the army has already arrived, but just then, something bursts through the wall and takes out the kid. Lily quickly realizes it's a corpse harvesting beast. After this, back in the present, we see that Shu was telling this story to the rest of the group. Yuan Chen explains that when he was young, his father told him it was a monster from the demon realm that lived by eating corpses, which is why its mouth was so dangerous. Plus, it's immune to magic, so it's a feared monster even in the fairy realm. The girl says it's a monster that only lives in the darkness of the demon realm. This really surprises Chisu, who doesn't understand why a monster like that would be there. But Shu says she doesn't know, and thinks that after the war between gods and demons, the immortals sealed all the passages to the demon realm, so no monster should be able to pass through freely. Hearing this, Yuan Chen asks what happened to Zhao Lu's group. Just before continuing the story, Shu is interrupted when the ship locates her partner's position inside the mine. We see the guy find a piece of a mineral and notice something very strange. After clearing the dust from the ground, he sees spell marks on the floor. This shocks Zhao Lu because it was a spell to open a passage to the demon realm, which is activated by a blood sacrifice from the deity clan. Meaning, a member of this clan would have to bleed on the area to activate it. And that's what happened when the zombie bit Black. At that moment, it all clicks for Zhao Lu, and he understands why that creature killed one of his friends back then. And just then, the creature appears in front of him. So, without a second's hesitation, he charges magic into his fists, creating 2 blade-like weapons. We then flash back to the past and see that the creature had already fought him before and even injured Yao. Although Zhao Lu tried to heal him, the man told him to escape, or he would die too. We see that the rest of the team had fallen one by one to the beast. After refusing a couple of times, he finally listens to his friend and leaves to complete his mission and report what was down there. Otherwise, their deaths would be for nothing. After trying to distract the creature with a couple of attacks, he falls, defeated by exhaustion, seeing that it's totally useless because the monster is super strong. After this, he watches Yao sacrifice himself to save him. He then wakes up surrounded by his teammates in some kind of infinite white fog. This saddens the guy, as he couldn't protect them and felt he wasn't worthy of being the group's captain. But the illusions of his friends tell him no, that he was the most worthy because he never abandoned them until the end. However, he still felt terrible because he couldn't kill that monster to get revenge. At that instant, Yao appears behind him and tells him he still has a mission to complete. He needs to uncover the truth behind who created the spell in the underground mine, and that he mustn't give up for the friends he has now. because they're going to need him. After this, he hears his name and wakes up again, this time for real. He sees Yuan Chen by his side, who explains they found his location using the ship and came immediately when they found something unusual. As he sits up, he sees Shu, Shen, and Chisu fighting the beast. But despite the girl's cannon blasts, the monster doesn't back down. Seeing this, Zhao Lu asks the hero to use his golden warrior barrier to protect everyone. Shen realizes Zhao Lu's intention. He was going to sacrifice himself for his friends. Despite trying to stop him, he says he won't lose anyone precious to him ever again. While the beast fights the rest of the group, sending them all flying, Zhao Lu approaches the monster and starts casting a very powerful spell, but Yuan Chen, using his protective dome, stops him, saying he doesn't want to lose any of his friends. He orders the staff to extend, destroying the entire mountain above them, opening a hole in the ceiling that lets in the sunlight. Since the creature can only live in darkness, when the sunlight hits it directly, it disintegrates, and everyone is happy to have come out victorious. Later that afternoon, pieces of the mineral were used to create a proper memorial for his fallen comrades. We see him praying for them, promising to uncover the mystery of who created the spell so their souls can rest in peace. He says that now he'll be with his new companions because he wants to protect them with his own strength, just like his old comrades once protected him. And finally, we see them all leaving together, and that's how the anime ends. If you made it this far in the video, comment the secret word, which will be meteorite. That way, I'll give you a heart since you're one of the few people who makes it to this part of the video. Also, don't forget to hit that like button and smash the subscribe button and turn on notifications, which is super important since we're about to hit 2 million subscribers. So with that said, remember you can comment which anime you want me to recap for the next video because I always read all of them. And with nothing more to say, Pina Colada Sat is signing off.